So, why did your team have a bad finish? My team couldn't bust a nut. I am a child. Yo, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the episode of MDK Racing Victory Stop. That was quite possibly one of the weirdest, just craziest races I've ever seen in a long time. By far, it was the craziest Kansas race I've ever seen. Holy crap, from start to finish. It was entertaining. It was a bit of a crapshoot with the amount of tires that were exploding, going off, but what a race that was, and what a finish we had. And we have a new winner. The Jordan brand is in victory lane. I mean, throughout the entire race, let's just go over it. The entire race was really action-packed. We saw great racing just throughout the entire race. This next-gen car, still, while dirty air was still a bit of a factor, it will forever be a factor, the next-gen car provided once again. Mile and a half races are going to be bangers this year. Las Vegas was a banger, and now Darlington, even though it's technically not a mile and a half racetrack, was a banger. This race, Kansas, also a banger. Just great racing, especially on restarts, 3-wide, 4-wide racing. We saw some really awesome battles for the race lead, where dirty air wasn't king. It still had a factor, but it wasn't like what we saw with the high downforce package, where it was just completely OP, where you were basically God. And this race was dominated by the Busch brothers. Kyle Busch, he won stage one. Stage one, we saw some, like I said, some really great racing. Majority of the issues, though, were involving with tire issues. We saw BJ McLeod. He spun on the front stretch with the tire going down. Daniel Suarez spun with 13 laps, or in turn 3 with 19 laps to go in the stage on the same lap with the tire issue. And then Christopher Bell, who was the race leader at the time, because remember, Christopher Bell started on pole. He led for a good amount of the stage. He also had a left rear tire go flat while he was the race leader. Luckily for him, it was under caution, so he didn't severe that much. But because Christopher Bell had that tire issue while the race leader, that gave the lead to Kyle Busch, and that's why he went on to win the stage. Stage 2, we had more tire issues. William Byron, this time he took over in stage number 2, trying to get redemption from last weekend at Darlington, and he would lead up until midway in the stage when basically just all hell broke loose. Tyler Reddick was having issues. Backs it into the wall in turn 2. He then, after he reported that he had debris on the grill of his car, which he thinks made his car snappy loose, and that's why he backed into the wall. And then, on that same lap, just around that same lap, Byron, the race leader, once again, a tire going down. Luckily for him, he lost a tire on the front straightaway, so he didn't, it's not like he lost a tire in the corner where he would have spun. He lost a left rear tire go down on the front stretch, but that took him out of contention for the race. Now, he was able to bring it onto pit road as there were no cautions. Immediately right after that, for another round of green flag pit stops came into play, and that is when we had another caution come out when Kevin Harvick spun, coming off of pit road to bring out the yellow flag. Then the weirdest thing happened. So Eric Jones, we need to talk about this. So Eric Jones, there was a first round of pit stops prior to that. Eric Jones had issues with the right rear nut was stuck on the car. We didn't think, at least to us on TV, we didn't think it was that big of an issue. It then became the most important thing. It went from an issue that not many people carried out to the most important thing to happen in that moment of time, because we saw, I don't know how long it was, it felt like forever, the entire 43 team pulling out so many different tools and things like that. I mean, you had sparks. There were sparks coming out of it. It took them damn near, it feels like maybe 10, 15 minutes to take out one nut. It took them 15 minutes to break a nut. Imagine saying that out of context. It was hilarious. I mean, I felt so bad for the 43 team because they had a pretty good run going, but you couldn't help but just laugh at it. They were pulling out so many different tools. You know, they were trying to cut the nut. I mean, I don't know how they got it off, but they did everything in their power to try and get this nut off. I realize a lot of the things I'm saying are going to be taken out of context, but anyways, we move. But again, it became the main focal point of the entire race. You had pit crews from other teams go to the 43 pit box to watch it in person to see how are they going to get this nut off and why was it so tight to begin with. To this day, even after when they got it off, there still was no reason as to why they couldn't get it off. I mean, they got it tight, but they got it very, very tight. It reminded me of Bottas in Monaco last year, where they literally couldn't get the right front nut off. Same thing, but unlike in F1, NASCAR, you could just find whatever tool you got just to try and get it off. They eventually got it off, but I mean, by that time, they were like 7 or 8 laps down. I mean, they were just out of it. It was under caution, which in my opinion, looking back on it, we were under caution for way too long, but I'm pretty sure NASCAR did that just so that they can give the 43 team a break to try and get this nut off. They eventually got all the scoring loop system all fixed up. That was a reason for the long caution, but man, that was just one of many weird things that happened. With tire issues going down, leaders losing tires, then this whole nut issue. I mean, this race was just chaotic from the beginning. And after that, it was the Busch brothers from that point onwards that would lead the way. Kurt Busch would end up winning the stage, but on the final lap, you guessed it, another left rear tire went down. Martin Truex Jr., who was running 4th at the time on the final lap, loses a tire, but he ends up staying on the lead lap because he stayed out on the racetrack. But Kurt Busch wins and Kyle Busch finished in 2nd. Yeah, it was just... And of course, the stage had to end with another left rear tire. So when stage 3 began, Kyle Busch, who was originally going to start alongside with his brother, had to start at the rear due to a speeding penalty. This put Ryan Blaney up to the front. Him and Kurt Busch had a bit of a scrap going on. Great wheel-to-wheel battle between the two drivers. It was, again, the racing was just so good. So good. It wasn't perfect. Again, dirty air was still key, but it was awesome the racing was, especially on restarts, proving that you don't need a high downforce package in order to get great racing on mile and a halves. But then Blaney started to fall back. Larson starts to move forward. Larson hadn't been that much of a factor all race long. He had a good car, but wasn't that much of a factor. He comes to life, catches up to Kurt Busch, and then we saw one of the best saves in quite some time. Kurt battling with Larson. Larson gets by him on the inside, slides up to perform a slide job, loses it. The wall saves him, saves the car, and still manages to keep 2nd place. It was unbelievable. We had Colton Herta at the Indy Road Course with an incredible save. Larson's like, hold my steering wheel. And I don't know how he saved it. Obviously, I know the wall helped him, but still, to be able to save that car when it was that loose, or that sideways, I should say, even with the wall, I thought he still would have spun out, but he was able to keep it straight. It was mad impressive. That whole battle was just awesome to watch between him and Kurt, but after he hit the wall, things died down a little bit. We then had our next caution, Chase Elliott. Again, another left rear down, spins in 3 and 4. He then got into the grass, and in the morning, it was raining. It was raining very heavily. So, of course, when you're in the grass, you get stuck. The tow truck then comes in. The tow truck gets stuck then also. So now they needed another truck to help push the tow truck and Chase Elliott's car out. Again, this race was mental. It was awesome, but just so hilarious because so many just things that you didn't expect to happen. We had a feeling that tire issues would be a problem based on what we saw in practice, but no one thought what happened with Eric Jones would take place. And then to have a tow truck that's meant to push you get stuck in the grass. So now you need another tow truck to help the tow truck and the car that's stuck in the grass. It's just, again, this race had everything. On the restart, Kurt Busch and Larson battling hard once again for the lead. Awesome tight racing. So hard, in fact, that Larson bounced off the wall again, off of turn number 4. Larson, he pushed his car to the absolute limit. He got on the wall, I think, 3 or 4 times in this race. He pushed the car to the absolute limit, which was awesome to see. But when he bounced off the wall, that gave the lead to Kurt Busch. Now with Larson, after hitting that wall, starts to fall off. Kyle Busch is now coming back into the mix. Remember, he started at the back after getting caught speeding. He is now emerging towards the front. He gets by Larson and gets by Bell to move into 2nd place. And then with 36 laps to go, a caution for possible fluid when Kevin Harvick basically did the same thing that Larson did. Spun, but the wall saved him, kept it going, but because of the possible fluid, I say that with quotation marks because I highly doubt there was any fluid on the racetrack, NASCAR just wanted to throw a caution. We had a caution with 36 to go. We restart with 34 to go. Larson now, he takes the lead. Kurt Busch, he falls back to 3rd or 4th place, but after some time, the Busch brothers are now hot on Larson's tail, and we have now a 3-way battle for the lead with all the drivers within a second of each other. But Kurt Busch, I guess with that long run speed, Kurt Busch starts to come back to life. After he lost those spots, he gets them all back. He's now running down Larson. He got by Kyle Busch for second place, running down Larson, catches him with around under 10 laps to go, and Kurt takes the lead but does it with force. Slides up, doesn't hit Larson, doesn't do anything, but just takes his line away. Larson goes into the wall again. This time it was a lot more aggressive than the other two times he smacked the wall, and that was it. The damage was done. Kurt Busch would go on by, and Kurt Busch would go on to win at Kansas Speedway. For the first time in his career, he wins at Kansas. I believe this is his 36th or 34th career Cup Series win, his first win since Atlanta in 2021. And this is 2311's second career win. And how about this? He does it with the Jordan brand on the hood. I tell you, it's got to be the shoes. That's why he won. It has to be the shoes. I mean, come on. But he goes back to victory lane. And it was an awesome win for the 2311 team. Kurt Busch, he led the most laps with 96, I believe. Larson in second, Kyle Busch third, Denny Hamlin in fourth, Christopher Bell fifth, Truex sixth, Raj Chastain seventh, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. eighth, Alex Bowman ninth, and Bubba Wallace in 10th. Tell you what, Bubba Wallace, he had, I think, a top 5 car, maybe even a race-winning car, but his pit crew, I think, hates him. His pit crew just screwed him over continuously on pit road, especially, I believe, on the second to last pit stop, where he was running in 5th place after stage 2. He then had an uncontrolled tire penalty and to start at the rear, and still muscled his way up into 10th place. An absolute grade A effort for Bubba Wallace. For the pit crew, you get an F. But it was a great day for Toyota, and especially 2311 Racing. I mean, look at the top 10. Kurt, Denny, Kyle Busch, Christopher Bell, Truex, and Bubba. All 4 JGR drivers, including both 2311 drivers, inside the top 10. What a day for the whole Toyota team. Austin Cindric, the rookie, a nice run for the rookie in 11th place. Ryan Blaney in 12th. Austin Dillon, Brad Keselowski. That was one of the best runs I've seen from Brad Keselowski so far this season in 14th place. Kevin Harvick in 15th. William Byron and Joe Logano. Logano had just had a really bad car. Did show some speed midway through the race, but then just fell off near the end. Noah Gragson, Corey LaJoie, and Ty Dillon rounds at the top 20. Harrison Burton, Cole Custer, Michael McDowell, Chase Briscoe, Ty Gillen, Eric Almirola, Chris Buescher, Josh Bilicki. Chase Elliott would finish 29th, and Tyler Reddick, he just had a multitude of problems, including those 2 incidents I mentioned in the race, finishes 30th. JJ Yeley, Eric Jones, Daniel Suarez, he spun, and again, after that incident, he had a lot of damage to the front nose of his car, finishes 33rd. Cody Ware, Justin Haley, who had, I think, a fire underneath his car very early in the race, and BJ McLeod, who spun, brought out, I think, either the first caution of the race, finishes dead last in 36th. And now your playoff grid. Now 11 drivers colored in green. Look at that. Just 5 spots up for grabs. With Kurt Busch now locked in. Ryan Blaney, the first one without a win. 112 points above the cut line. Mark Jr. plus 89. Those 2 drivers have a 1 race buffer. Christopher Bell plus 48. Kevin Harvick plus 24. And Eric Almirola now holds the final spot at plus 11. Austin Dillon, the first one out, minus 11. His teammate Tyler Reddick minus 22. Eric Jones minus 32 and Daniel Suarez minus 49. All right, this race, it was awesome. It was so much fun to watch. A lot of chaos, but Goodyear, man. Goddamn, Goodyear. What the hell? I'm pretty sure if you include today and yesterday, I think that was like, 10, 12 cars that spun out due to left, or had either spun due to a left rear tire issue, or just had a left rear tire issue to begin with. But I know there were some reports that were saying there were so many tire issues because a lot of the teams had the air pressure a bit too low to their liking, or a bit too low that the tire could handle, because with this next gen car and how the weight works and how much it loads on the tires is completely different from the Gen 6 car. So there were some reports that were suggesting that they just weren't expecting the tire to not be able to handle the load of the next gen car. I don't know, but they need to get that figured out. They need to get it figured out because it was a mess to have that many tire issues. I felt like the 2008 Brickyard 400 almost. The amount of tire issues there were. I've already explained a lot of like what I've said in the race review. I mean, Toyota just came out swinging. They dominated this race. If you include the Busch brothers, like I said, all Toyota drivers finished inside the top 10. 7 of them finished inside the top 10. Incredible run. 2311 Racing, I think they're getting their mojo. Not only for JGR, but also for 2311 Racing. Kurt incredible performance by that 45 team, especially from Kurt. He is one of the best drivers in NASCAR today. To go through that many different teams that are great, teams that are not so great, and to be able to get the best out of that equipment is impressive. I mean, for how bad of a season 23XI had, to go out there and win, it's just incredible. The second coming of Kurt Busch. We know where he was like at Roush and at Penske, but to see this version of Kurt Busch now, I think is 10 times more impressive. For him to be with teams that are either brand new or not where they should be, and be able to make the most out of it is mad impressive. So just huge congratulations to Kurt Busch and that 23XI team. Bubba Wallace, I feel for you, Bubba. You should have had a top 5. You should have had a top 5. You had a really good car, but your pit crew apparently doesn't like you. But yeah, Toyota itself just had a really great day. Kyle Larson, I'll be honest, I thought when Kyle Larson got in the wall because of Kurt, I thought Larson was going to be mad, but he said, nah, he didn't touch me. That was just hard racing. Larson is one of the fairest drivers. I'll give him credit. He's one of the fairest drivers. There have been situations where he had a right to be a bit pissed off. He was like, nah, it's just hard racing. Him and with Kyle Busch in Chicagoland, hard racing. Elliott at Charlotte in 2016, hard racing. Here today, hard racing. Larson's one of the fairest drivers out there, and that was an awesome battle between him and Kurt Busch. Still, dirty air still is important, but it was less important of a factor than it was to previous generations of cars. And yeah, next gen proving out once again, it has delivered. Outside of Martinsville, so far, it has checked off all the boxes, especially on the mile and a half racetracks. And I cannot believe I'm saying this. I'm actually looking forward to Texas. I cannot believe I'm saying this. I'm looking forward to Texas. Do you know how crazy you have to be to say that? But thankfully with this next gen car, I believe that we can get a good race with the All-Star race next weekend at Texas. So I'm looking forward to that. Man, this was a fun race. That was awesome. But yeah, what did y'all think of this race at Kansas? Did you like it? Did you not? What are your thoughts on the tire problems and on Kurt Busch's win? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. But until next time, my name is Jett from MDK. Thank y'all so much for watching. Congratulations to Kurt Busch and 23XI Racing, your winner at Kansas.